Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next in the series of my top 10 Transformers videos. This one's going to be for my number 7 pick, and as you can see here it is Transformers Prime Robots in Disguise Deluxe Wheeljack. This is the first Prime Deluxe on my list, and also the last Prime figure overall on the list, so you won't be seeing any more of those on my list. So no Prime higher up than 7. But anyway, let's get into this guy, Deluxe Wheeljack. Really cool character from the show, and he got in my opinion, probably the best Prime figure in the entire line, and it came in wave 1. This, I think in general, a lot of people just love this figure, and I do too. As I mentioned in the Blur video, I love these kind of more angular styles of just car Transformers. This guy's just really cool. Clearly, obviously, the color scheme, the design, even back as far as G1, based on the Lancia Stratos. But this time around, it's more modern, based on the kind of Phenomenon Stratos, I believe it's called, the kind of newer version of that car. But anyway, really cool, just white overall, a little bit of red, a little bit of green, and grey overall. Painted wheels, which are obviously really nice, before the kind of budget cuts led to worse wheels. But overall really cool, just small spoiler on the back. But overall really cool, just paneling the way, just there's a lot of angles all over the place. Just some really cool design. I just love this car. The way the windscreen kind of wraps all the way around. There's no kind of panels for the windows. It's just one big thing. Painted rear headlights. Nothing on the front due to transformation. But I think the strength of what that means for the transformation is so much more than just like having some headlights on the car. Really cool. Maybe could use it a little bit more green towards on the sides or back, but for the most part, really cool. On the bottom, you have storage for the swords right here. You can see there's just a clip in the foot there, you can see, and then there's obviously a hole in the sword, and you just clip it on there. The peg hole here slots into the side, into the little gap here, and they fit in perfectly there. But the peg is for basically so you can plug them in on the sides if you want, which surprisingly enough is probably one of the better kind of swords attached to the outside of a car mode. That's not just hiding them away completely. I've seen on a Transformer that it sort of fits in with how sleek it is, for the most part. And makes them look actually really cool, just having the swords on the side like that. But I do overall prefer that it has really solid storage on the bottom. But anyway, let's get into the transformation. Underneath, yeah, you can sort of tell that there are the legs, there are the feet, there's the torso, and there's the head, but you can't really tell where the arms are immediately. But we'll get into that in the actual transformation. So, easiest place to start with this is to just basically grab the kind of back two wheels and just kind of split it apart like this. And do the same on the other side. And then you just kind of separate these two bits from the side, which are the arms, pretty well hidden, and just kind of move them out of the way to the side. You then take this section here and just kind of pull it up, and that separates this whole section from the bottom. We have the legs, but we'll touch on them later on, because they're, I think, the star of this transformation. Then what you need to do is separate this section here from here, like this, and that comes down. Then you just straighten out this whole section, so it kind of comes down. You can sort of see the peg here, and then there's a peg in the back of the waist, and that basically makes his back. And then what you do here is you have to position these in the right spots, and you're going to tilt this bit down, tilt it forward so the head comes out. It kind of looks weird, but it comes together nicely. So you just kind of move the shoulders out of the way while lining it up so that this tab is kind of perpendicular to the ground. So we have positioned it there, and do the same on the other side until it's about there. So yeah, that's perfect. Then, as I said, what you do is you tilt this down, and then you push it up before you slot it in. So the head, let me just show you that better. So what happens here is that the head is kind of on this kind of swing arm type thing. You just have to push it up like that. Then this tab here pegs into the tab there. and there you basically have his torso in place, and that locks the parts of the shoulders in place as well. To finish up the back section, you just tilt these to the sides, and they act as kind of like these kind of just detail parts of it on his arms. For the shoulders, obviously you have the panels flat like that. All you do is you just move this bit down. There's the elbow, and this is just kind of acts as a kind of transformation joint slash shoulder. And then for the finish the arms, all you do is you can see here, big peg there. You just kind of pull this arm section, including the windshield, out and spin it around. So out and then spin it around and then peg it back in. And then just move the hand into position. That's one arm done. Then we just do the other one. And once again, kind of, they're a little bit tight at times, you just have to get them in the right position. And just spin them, lock it back into place, move the hand into position. So there you have his hands done. Now the legs. First of all, split them in half. So you have the two legs. Tilt at the thigh so they're facing the right way. And then it's these lower legs where just the magic happens basically. This is such a cool part of the transformation. So what you do here is there's basically, it tilts in the middle, right here, it swivels. And all you do is you go like this, and it just, this whole section including the leg, tilts, going from being pegged in here to now being pegged in here. So it slots in there. Then what you do is facing the front, this bit slides up and twists around, foot comes out the front, there's your leg done. Really cool transformation. So to give you a better angle on this, here's basically the front of the car, and you just tilt around like that, it pegs in on the bottom up here, push up, spin to the side, leg comes out. Really, really cool leg transformation. Probably one of my favorite just individual parts of a transformation like ever on a figure. So let me just fix the camera, robot mode, and there you have him. There is Transformers Prime Deluxe Wheeljack in robot mode. Really cool transformation and really cool look in robot mode. Obviously, as a lot of people will probably say, the arms are very long. Very, very long compared to a lot of other Transformers. So the proportions are a little bit off. But to get the posability, I suppose this is what they kind of needed to do. But overall, really cool look, just with the way the legs kind of have the front parts of the car, which are very notable. Big shoulders, kind of these cool spike bits on the back. He looks pretty decent from the back too, apart from just, you know, some of the kind of hollowness in the upper thighs and the panels at the back, but for the most part not too bad. Other notable thing is a little bit of kibble with the windshield. They couldn't do that much because of how curved it was. It would have taken away from the overall vehicle mode designs, but still really cool. Yeah, so let's have a look at the head sculpt. This is Wheeljack with battle mask on, which I don't really agree with that too much. I would have preferred, because he does appear in the show more often than not with just the mouth. That is the Transformers Prime design, where the mask is on for kind of battling, but for the most part they're talking, and you know, especially Wheeljack, we don't really see him use his battle mask that much. So, but still, it gets across the head design pretty well. You know, I've got the classic spikes of Wheeljack, but without the kind of light bar kind of effect that the G1 character had. And I will also say that they do a good job of having the kind of painted bits of the vehicle mode being in pretty nice places in the robot mode, so he doesn't just look white in robot mode with lots of the paint kind of hidden. So that kind of played into where the paint placement was. But yeah, let's get into articulation. Head is on a ball joint, pretty nice. You can look down, look up, all the way back, swivel around. Got everything you need basically in the head. Really solid. These back bits can be posed a little bit if you want, but you can also just keep them the way they were in robot mode, where it's just this back panel. But they're meant to be tilted out like this. Now, shoulders, little bit, you know, not the best. Kind of like Blur, they don't go out that far, but you get just about 45 degrees of outwards rotation. because of the weird kind of transformation joints in the shoulder, you do get this kind of odd kind of shoulder rotation like that. But because he uses swords, it actually works out pretty nicely that he has that. He has this kind of upper shoulder elbow joint kind of thing for transformation, and then his actual elbow joint is about just under 90 degree bend, so kind of it works as a kind of odd double hinged elbow, but because there is this kind of whole part here, it doesn't quite look that great. But that's the only really problem I have with this figure, is just that the arms are a little bit weird just with the placement of some of the joints. Hips, really good, just they go out as far as you need, go forward, go back. Knees, just under 90 degrees because of the stuff on the back of the leg, but really solid. There's a thigh swivel here. Again, you get as much as you need. And then the actual kind of foot part does have some ankle joints. You know, you can tilt it a little bit. You can tilt it forward, tilt it back. You've got basically as much as you need in that, like, you can really just kind of hold him onto the ground and just like move his legs around, and they just go into the position that you actually want. So really solid ankles on this guy, so that's good. Now let's bring the accessories into play here. They of course can go into his hands. They fit in very nicely, and he's very notable for his swords, Wheeljack, and his prime character design, so that's really cool. And again, because he has so many different types of joints in his arms, you can get some really cool poses out of him, because there's a lot of joints in his arms. They may be in odd positions, but you can get the cool sword master poses that you want. And then because his legs, and especially his ankles, are very well done, you can do really cool stuff with his legs as well and still have him stand up pretty nicely. So that's good. Yeah, that's cool. And then you can, if you really want to, plug the swords obviously in up here where they were in vehicle mode. There we go. But you just have them kind of pointing out like that, which isn't awful, but it isn't the best either. He does actually have it's not in the instructions, but he does have a place to store his swords in robot mode. It's more of a just kind of, oh, it just happens to be like this, rather than I don't think it's actually meant to be planned this way. But because of the way he kind of folds together kind of in half to kind of get everything into position, it leaves these gaps here, which are like perfectly sized for the swords to kind of, for the blade part to slot through, but the handles stay out. And as you can see on the side, it comes down around his side but doesn't actually poke into his leg, so it's kind of perfectly sized to just hold both swords. And it doesn't look kind of really bad poking out the back, because he does have these two bits there already, and these just look like other bits. So it's a kind of just convenient storage way to keep the swords there. And his arms are kind of long enough to where you can actually get his hands to kind of curl around them just about, like just have it there, like have him ready to grab the sword. It's not perfect, but you can get that general pose if you want. So I really like that. It wasn't, it's not in the instructions as I said, but it ended up just working out perfectly the way they fit in. They kind of go with the kind of flow of his back, the kind of curve there, and just looks really nice. So overall, prime Wheeljack, really cool deluxe figure. Really, because he was in Wave 1, really sold me on the Transformers Prime toy line, basically, in general. And there are a lot of deluxes that are very good. I just think Wheeljack, for me, is the best, because really cool transformation, as I showed you, especially the I like the way the kind of head goes into position with the whole kind of as you're kind of swinging this whole section down, this bit kind of comes up and then it clicks into place, and then the whole kind of back bit of the leg kind of swinging around like that, I think is really cool. And then the vehicle mode, I think, is one of the best car transformers in the line, and really, it's really show accurate, apart from the length of the arms in robot mode. So I really like Transformers Prime Deluxe Wheeljack, and that's why he places reasonably highly on my list. But for now, that's the end of the video. I'll see you next time around with my number 6 pick.